Hello again to all of you wonderful people from near and far and beyond the information superhighway to the 97th edition of Weird Mind Newsroom, where we are once again diving deep into the realm of all things media, talking about revenue releases, some trailers or two, and a couple of news stories to provide a platter selection entertainment. But enough of wasting time, and let's get to talk about all things media for this week, shall we?
'Tis but a scratch.
The first of the new releases for this week is what I would see as the big new release for this week in particular, that will see an ordinary man go on a journey to save someone he loves, but it seems this man has some sense of conditions that may benefit him in the long run, as Jack Quaid has taken justice into his own way with the all-new action comedy of Novocaine. The film follows Nathan Kane, a bank teller who has a rare condition where he cannot feel pain no matter the injury, who ends up going on his own accord to rescue his co-worker and love interest, as played by Amber Midthunder, after she's taken hostage from a group of bank robbers on Christmas Eve. Reception on this new title has seen some well-received reviews, with praise to its concept, the lead performances including that of Quaid, and for its humor and methods of action. And if you want to check this one out for yourself, you can do so now, as it's out now in cinemas. The next film is another film of all action from one of Hollywood's hard action stars to come from the UK, as a simple tough man has a job to do with this all-new action film of a working man. The film follows lenghty, a former soldier in the Black Ops who left all that behind to live a simple life working in construction. However, when human traffickers kidnap his boss's daughter, his search to bring her home uncovers a world of corruption far greater than he ever could have imagined. Reception on this new film has seen a bit of more of a mixed outcome response, that while taking their best methods for adapting a story and Statham being an appealing action lead, the film lacks a lot of the intricate layers of the book it is based on, that is less of a detective action thriller and more of an over-the-top action flick instead. But if that appeals to you more than anything, then you can also check this film out now, as it's available to see in cinemas. So the likes of an action comedy or simply an all action doesn't appeal to you, and you want something that may give you a sense of unease or spooks, then you may be in luck, as we have an all-new offering from the studio Blumhouse with their all-new horror film of The Woman in the Yard. The film follows Ramona, a woman crippled from grief and an accident that saw the death of her husband, and tries her best to care for her two children on a rural farm. Sadness soon turns to fear when a spectral woman who dressed all in black appears in a yard with a warning of "Today's the day," and she grows nearer and nearer to their home. Ramona soon realizes that she must protect her children from the figure who simply won't leave them alone. Reception on this film as well has also seen a bit of a mix to more underwhelming reception, that while the concept has an interesting idea and could lead to some deep questions and appeal to it all, the film lacks a lot of substance and a bit in the horror department. But if you want to check it out for yourself, you can catch this film out now as well in cinemas. As for the game for this week, is one that will see us take a page from the world gone to the ruins of a nuclear fallout, but we have a setting of a more cozy countryside aesthetic, as the studio behind the Sniper Elite and Zombie Army series have brought us an all-new open-world RPG game known simply as Atomfall. Set in alternate 1960s and 5 years after the events of the real-life 1957 wind-scale fire in UK, you will take on the role of a civilian living in the massive quarantine zone in the Lake District, as you scavenge for scraps and resources and fight against mutated creatures, doomsday cults, rogue military, and robots, and try to find and uncover the secret as to what happened in this area. Reception of this title has seen a very well-received reviews, with praise with its visuals, its setting, story, and gameplay controls, though some elements of the stealth, combat, and a lack of fast travel systems have seen some issues, and some other bits here and there as well. But if you want to explore the British countryside and find some answers, then you can play this new title now on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. There is one other title that I did know about, but I don't have much information about, but there's the first Berserker Kazan, I believe it's called. It's an action game, it's kind of like a Souls-like, I think, from something, but it looks pretty cool. It has some decently well-received reception. You want to play that as well, it's also on PS5, Series X and S, and PC. But with all of that as well, that's all the new releases that we have for this week.
It's a peaceful life.
On the first of the trailers for this week is with a focus of the world of a galaxy far, far away once more, as we are taking a more of a focused approach to the story about the building hope of a rebellion, that when a galactic empire towers over the galaxy, the sparks of resistance comes from a few brave people. And this is one of those people, as we have received yet another trailer for the upcoming second and final season of the Star Wars series of Andor. This upcoming season will carry on from the story of Cassian Andor and the emerging Rebel Alliance. It tells the season over the course of its 4 years, leading up to the discovery of the super weapon of the Death Star, as well as events that lead into the Star Wars film of Rogue One. Now, it's a case where there was a tonal shift between the first trailer and this one, where the first one was a bit more light-hearted and action-heavy and focused a lot about the critical reception the first season got, which, give credit's due, it's fine enough. But this new one already, is how you do a trailer. It already amps up more of the action and more of the serious tone that this series has. In this case, I think this one so far, this season's already showing to be again another hit on his hands, in the focus the likes of the first season and the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. And I, for one, am excited as I think this will be a well-rounded story leading to the film that was amazing on its own, and we do not have to wait too long of a wait as well, as the final season will be dropping about a month's time on Disney Plus from the 22nd of April. The next trailer for this week is in the focus of showing that no matter how much of a risk or how long a life you will have, things may get cut short, or in this case, this was a planned unexpected outcome that runs in the family. As after a nearly 15-year gap since their final entry, we have gotten a new trailer for the film series of unexpected deaths with Final Destination Bloodlines. The film sees a college student that has been experiencing a recurring nightmare that foretells her family's demise, and returns home to find the answers from the person who may know the way to prevent it. So truth be told, it's a case with the likes of this series is one that I've not much of or been a focus to watch it, as someone who has hemophobia, which is an intense fear of blood, bone, and gore and graphic detail. If it's like realistic, if it's like kind of animated or cartoon stuff, it's fine, but if it goes really detailing that stuff, maybe it's a bit too much. That it would be something I would probably get weak or faint at watching, but I can see where the appeal of this series can be found, and usually some of the deaths are pretty good, so I'm sure this could have appeal of expanding some lore to it all, and I for one are those that want to see the outcome for some people's demise. And it's not too far away as well, so if you're looking forward to it, the film will be releasing into cinemas from May 16th this year. The final trailer for this week is one from a well-respected director, bringing with him a new focus and take on a story full of twists, turns, and some deep cover investigations, as we received a trailer for Paul Thomas Anderson's next new take on a classic novel, with his new film of One Battle After Another. The film, based on the 1990 novel of Vineland, will follow a group of ex-revolutionaries reuniting together to rescue one of their own daughters who has been kidnapped when an evil enemy of some of them has returned after being presumed dead or missing for around 16 years. So in most cases with Anderson's films, I've heard a lot of interest and praise to his films of previous styles like Licorice Pizza, Phantom Thread, There Will Be Blood, and many more. And I sense there has a unique style and makes some appealing films, which seem to have also seen Warner making a dumb decision, this by supposedly trying to interfere with the initial cut like they always do. Apparently trying to cut it down by a certain length of time, and it's just their dumb decisions usually in that kind of case. The same they did with Mickey 17. From what I have seen here, it does look interesting and has quite the appealing cast, and I may give this a look in due time, and you can as well, as the film will be releasing to cinemas very soon from the 26th of September. And with all of that as well, that's all the trailers that we have for this week.
Make them remember.
So the first of the news stories is with an update to a story that was brought up about a few weeks ago, and this is in relation to the discussion with talking about the ongoing development of the next entry of the James Bond or 007 series at the company of the real-life Bond villain of Amazon Prime. Now, a few weeks ago, the only information that we had got about the franchise was that it is now being helmed by the company, and that the original producers of Barbara Broccoli and Adam Wilson, I think, were no longer in the main focus producers of this franchise, which was done out of essential spite by Jeff Bezos, because Broccoli didn't like him, and they kept declining his ideas of spin-offs, many likes of Moneypenny and stuff like that. And after that, it was unclear as to when we will hear any word of the new faces of the franchise. But that was until this week. We have a range of announcements from this week from this franchise, with 2 rumored ones, and one that has been confirmed, with those rumored ones being that the next James Bond may be aiming for a late 2027 release. Now, as for the likes of the director being rumored, it seems to be focusing towards Gravity, Roma, Children of Men, and Harry Potter and the Prison of Azkaban director of Alfonso Cuarón, maybe being tapped to direct a new film after initially declining to direct one of them a few years ago. So maybe we had a change of appeal of giving some new take on this long-running series. But those are rumors for now, and we do have one confirmed one, and that's with the focus of the new choices of producers for this franchise. And it was confirmed to be this week on Monday or Tuesday that Sony Pictures producer of Amy Pascal, who helped distribute some of the more recent Bond films, and the other being David Heyman, who has produced some previous British-based films such as the Harry Potter series, Wonka, and the Paddington movies. So there's a case that the choices are not a bad shout. Now, I know some will complain about Pascal's involvement because of the handling of the Spider-Man adjacent films, meaning like Morbius, Craven, all that sort of stuff, and even the Amazing Spider-Man films, but I feel if you look at the other projects they have worked on, they may have an appeal to focus this work, and they did help distribute to some of the James Bond movies, the Daniel Craig stuff, but I'll give it a chance to see how it turns out and give it a focus. In case those other 2 original producers are still involved with the series anyway, they still own the rights and stuff. Now, it'll be interesting perspective to see what will come from the likes of the series now and who is going to be the next Bond, but I guess we will see in due time about it all, and once we hear anything, I shall update in a later episode. But I want to know your thoughts on this. Do you think it's a good choice of new producers of the series, or do you see a new Bond in about 2 years, and who would you get to direct the film, as well as who will be the new 007. Male, female, I don't care. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Story 2 for this week is the usual array that we would normally see on the weekly series, and that is with an addition of some of the casting news that have popped up this week. And in this case, there is a lot to talk in terms of this week, so we're going to fly through it all that was announced because it's going to be a bit of a story one. So our first one is what I feel is the first batch of cast members that we will all start as an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people. Now this of course with the MCU and the upcoming Avengers film, specifically the initial one that was Kang Dynasty, now going by Doomsday. Now on Wednesday of this week, during a 5.5-hour live stream, Marvel and the Rooster Brothers did this live stream to announce 27 members of the upcoming first of the two Avengers films so far. The cast that we will be playing them as the case with some new faces, some familiar, and a few surprises ones as well. And in this instance, I'll be going through a list of every single name announced. So, those names included Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, Anthony Mackie as Captain America, Sebastian Stan as Bucky, Letitia Wright as Black Panther or Shuri, Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, Wyatt Russell as US Agent, Tenoch Huerta Mejia as Namor, Ebon Moss-Baccarat as The Thing, Simon Louis Shang-Chi, Florence Pugh as Yelena, Kelsey Grammer is returning as Beast, Louis Pullman as Bob or Sentry, Danny Ramirez as Falcon, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm or the Human Torch, David Harbour as the Red Guardian, Winston Duke as M'Baku, Hannah John Kamen as Ghost, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, Patrick Stewart is making a return as Professor X, Ian McKellen is returning as Magneto, Alan Cumming is also returning as Nightcrawler from X-Men 2, Rebecca Romijn is returning as Mystique from the original trilogy, James Marsden is returning back as Cyclops, Channing Tatum is coming back as Gambit, Pedro Pascal is Mr. Fantastic, and lastly, Robert Downey Jr. is of course playing Doctor Doom. So as you can see, this was a lot of names announced in this one event, but I feel in all sense is not the last announcements that come from this cast, as some big names were missing, including all of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, a few of the original Avengers of Hulk and Hawkeye and War Machine, the confirmed additions of Chris Evans and Haley Atwell, Brie Larson, Paul Bettany, or any of the character heroes that were introduced from the TV series, including Moon Knight, Kate Bishop, Daredevil, Miss Marvel, Photon, She-Hulk, or a whole lot of other additions to the cast. But they have mentioned that there's plans to be more to be announced supposedly and to come in due time, that I'm sure it will be a massive lineup with some big names saved for Secret Wars probably as well. They mentioned a while back that it was about 50 characters, and I think Benedict Cumberbatch said he's not in this one, but he's in Secret Wars, so it could be a case we have one or two that they probably have planned or something. But for now, it's a good amount to be excited for as we head into the production, and I'm sure if the more updates come along for the likes of this cast announcements, I'll update in a later piece. Now with those big announcements out of the way, we have two smaller cast announcements of one new addition for those two upcoming projects that are both still exciting, and the first is taking a trip to New York and to stay at the Arconia, as the complex is getting itself an all-new guest staying for the season, and that is with two-time Oscar-winning actress of Renee Zellweger is joining the cast of the 5th season of Only Murders in the Building, following from the appearance of some other big names like Paul Rudd, Meryl Streep, Dan Levi, Eva Longoria, and many more iconic faces over the course of the 4 seasons. While her role in this new season will be anyone's guess, but given this was the focus of discussion and investigation team teased at the end of last season, she could be a client or a possible suspect or the murderer, but we really do not know at this point. Either way, I'm excited to see how she will be involved with this new season, and looking forward to whatever season 5 does drop, and if anyone else will be stopping by the Arconia for a stay. Or a possible murder. But speaking of murder, we are moving away from the city to the wide open spaces of nature for the last casting, and it's a series I thought I remember saying a long time ago had been shelved, as we've received the casting for the upcoming prequel series based on Friday the 13th, of Crystal Lake. Now, most cases tell the story of Jason and his mother and their killing of campers and sex-crazed camp counselors, from what I can guess, because we already know one addition to the cast, and that is with actress Linda Cardellini playing Pamela Voorhees. Now, it is not the first time that Linda has played a character in the series based on spooky creatures and monsters, as she has also been the one to stop those creatures after playing Velma Dinkley in the original 2 live-action Scooby-Doo films from the early 2000s. So I feel it makes sense, the most sense in the end for stuff like this. At the moment, that is all we have announced for this cast, as well as any production updates, but I'm sure in due time we will get the casting for the counselors, campers, and probably Jason himself, but I will update when I can in some due time. But I want to know what you think of these casting announcements. Who else do you see join that Avengers lineup? Who else will be in the new Only Murder season? And who would you cast in the Friday the 13th prequel series? Let me know what your thoughts are down below and the top choices, and we can discuss about them there. Alright, the third story for this week is the surprise of an event I didn't expect to see for this week, and more will be for talking about next week. But earlier this week on Thursday, we got the surprise announcement of an all-new Nintendo Direct that, while not being anything for the new console, was all focused on some titles coming for the first Switch over the next few months and into the new year. And in most cases, some will probably be coming over to the new console as well. That may not have been the best, but I feel we'll save a few main core for the next one, but still some good announcements in the event, and let's get to talking on them. So they started off the event with an all-new look at the HD 2D remakes of Dragon Quest 1 and 2. To complete the trilogy of remakes that started with 3 back in November last year, which showed off more of the title and gameplays, following the new aesthetics of the original remake, and while no release date has been given with it, we see a little confirmation that it's coming out in 2025, so we can keep an eye for when that does release. In most cases, I'm going to say this summer, but we'll have to see. The next announcement came in the form of a new entry of the popular AI The Somnum Files title, with a new entry of No Sleep for Kaname Date, as you help your AI counterpart of your detective lead find a way to survive against their entrapment inside of an escape room that looks like its location is on the moon, which will be a unique blend of puzzle solving and a fair bit more, and this will be dropping on the console from July 25th this year. Then a new case and a mystery will be resolved from a classic era with an all-new remaster of the title of Ryodu, with a mystery of the Soulless Army that will have you solve the case and battle out with you unleashing demons against those that are trying to stop you and from covering the mystery, and the title will be worth a try when this new entry makes debut from June 19th of this year. Then we have the title of an all-new take on a game first seen in an episode of Secret Level, with a new take on Pac-Man with Shadow Labyrinth that sees the classic arcade game getting a new Metroidvania style adventure that could be interesting and appealing to the likes of the game like the episode was, and we'll be exploring this strange new land when it releases from July 18th of this year. Then a classic title from the early Nintendo days or from the PSP era, from what I've seen, is making an all-new release and remaster with the 2 entries of the marching music game of Patapon Replay, and that will have you fight to the beat and become the hero of the lands, and it's not too long for the release, which is also confirmed for release to coming out on July 11th of this year. We then saw, I believe, the first of the farming games, with the next entry in the Story of Seasons franchise with the Grand Bazaar that will have you working in a peaceful village, making new friends, and even finding a mate. And these games are usually always an appeal for many that need some peaceful appeal that you can take a stay in this town, and releases on August 27th of this year. Then one of the big titles that have been shown off of this week's Direct, which I believe I heard is not going to be shown next week, allegedly, was we received some new gameplay for the highly anticipated 4th Metroid Prime title of Beyond, which will show off some of the new alien planet of forests and ruins, and even the ability to some new ancient powers that Samus will obtain to help some ancient beings in saving their planet from corruption or deadly creatures and invaders. This looks great and visually appealing, and I'm sure it will be a launch game for the new console, but we'll have no official set date yet, but it's still confirmed to be coming out this year in 2025. Then some familiar faces are dropping in for a drink, as we have an all-new game of Disney Villain Cursed Cafe that, using unique blends and some potions ingredients provided by Yzma, you will serve up a tasty treat for some of the iconic villains of the Disney era, and can help shape and evolve the story from the outcome. And you can also take a trip there now, as it launched on the same day as the actual event. And that's for likes of wanting a bit more magical and unique pixel art style. Then the next title of Witchbrook will have you covered, of attending a school to become a powerful sorcerer by taking classes involving rituals and other means. You can also get involved with other magical, non-magical people in the world and play with friends online. And if that appeals to you, you can play this new title when it drops some point this winter. In the focus of the first 2 little compilation titles of trailers, the first game we got was a new 2D hand-drawn adventure of the eternal life of Goldman, as you travel across the land with a strong and magical cane to fight against some monsters, and will be worth an adventure when the game releases some point in the holiday of this year. Then it's taken to the stars to shoot your way to victory with a collection of titles based on the popular series of Gradius Origins that include the first 2 titles and the 3rd entry as well, which is the first time for, I think, in Europe or outside of Japan, and will be making the trip worth fighting for when it launches on the console on August 7th of this year. It's then time to rock out and be prepared for battles of the beat, as we have the newest entry music rhythm game of Rift of the Necrodancer, with some of the classic tunes as well as some titles with DLC from Pizza Tower and other indie titles, and you can battle to the beat as well, as it launched on the same day as the event, so you can play it now in the eShop. Then from a little digital device to the full-fledged game, we have an all-new game based on the popular property of the Tamagotchi, with a trip to the plaza of Tamagotchi Plaza in particular, to explore and take a visit to 11 or 12 different shops there, and maybe a fun adventure for fans of this series, and you can take a trip when it releases on the console from June 27th of this year. We then took a focus to the wide world of Pokemon with the new title followed follow-up of Legends Arceus with ZA, as you will explore the vast region of Luminos City seen in Pokemon X and Y, so you catch the Pocket monsters, battle out to be the best, and a whole lot more adventures in the city, and it'll be worth a visit down the line as it'll be releasing into the console in the later half of this year, so most likely this year's winter Pokemon release. And it'll be time to get groovy to the all-new game of the popular series of the Rhythm Heaven with the new title with Groove that will see you play to the beat over the course of some quick fire events or mini games, and it'll be worth to see when the game grooves its way out of the console some point in 2026. Then there was the first of two technical pieces, with the first one being beneficial for the future consoles or having a second Switch console, for helping with digital download games with the introduction of the virtual game card that will allow you to transfer digital games to another Switch you own, with each as well as lending out other games to family and friends locally, and can play them for lend for up to 2 weeks before they get sent back once the time is up. It has also been confirmed to be working with the new console as well for the Switch 2, and this update will be beneficial and will be launching on the console in an update some point next month. Then we have the second compilation trailers for the event, with the first game being the Squanch Games' first title of High on Life, which is announced for the console and will be releasing on the 6th of May this year. The cosmic space surfing game of Star Overdrive got a new look at some gameplay and focus, and we blasting off and surfing across the Osmonds launches in 2 weeks time on April 10th. The next entry of the Village Sim Life games from the event, with the unique fantasy aesthetic on top of an ancient peaceful creature, has appeared with the Wandering Village. That has some unique idea and appeal, and will be worth a journey in a cozy town when this releases from July 17th. And then it'll be time to take some battle for the purpose of entertainment, as you and your friends will be taking part in the creation of battles of a team to be crowned the King of Meat, which has some appeal and I'm sure will be worth a play when it releases some point later this year. A rough landing crash of a plane leads to an adventure of an island to make it a paradise, as we will be getting a title of Lou's Lagoon when it will be releasing some point later this summer on the console. And then some more gameplay was shown for the new entry of the Fantasy Life series that shows some of the island management and combat, and will be all exploring the vast story when the game makes its way to consoles on the 21st of May. The last of the games announced to release on the same day was the all-new remaster of the Saga Frontier sequel, with an all-new stylized art form, improved gameplay and visuals, and seems like it could be worth a try, and you can get it now as available on the Nintendo Switch. A collection of some trippy and some isometric puzzle-solving titles will be making its way to the console, with the first two titles in the Monument Valley series getting released to the console, as you uncover the mystery of the strange geometric perspectives and savor from some dastardly creatures, with the first two games dropping on April 15th this year. And it was also announced at the same time that the third entry in the Monument Valley series is also coming to the console, and while not having a release date yet, it is confirmed to be dropping some point later this year in the summer. Then to ask if anyone was up for some golf, as we have the newest entry of the popular series of Everybody's Golf, with the new entry of Hot Shots that has some free-for-all tournaments and unique form of crazy golf to play and try out, and be worth to see who's the best when the game releases some point later this year. And then for the appeal of the arcade classic of some classic heroes, we got the announcement of an all-new game of Marvel Cosmic Chaos, as a pair of heroes team up to save the world from a cosmic attack of the Skrulls, I believe. You can play alone or up to 4-player co-op of some of your favorite characters from the Marvel Comics, and we'll be fighting to save the day when the game releases some point in the holiday season of this year. Then the last of the game announcements from the Direct was a surprise one, as is one that many have been demanding for a long time, and that is with the announcement that we are getting a follow-up to the Nintendo DS game of Tomodachi Life for the Switch that will have your Miis and characters go through the day-to-day and experience an array of oddities and emotions and relationships, and will be explored in due time when the game launches some point into the console next year. And there was one last announcement that was done by Mr. Miyamoto himself, as he unveiled an all-new app known simply as Nintendo Today, which I actually have here. Yes, I have Nintendo Today. There will be an application for some data news and exciting, with a focus on all new content Nintendo and the upcoming Switch 2 that launched on the same day of all mobile devices, which brought the Direct to an end, and one that is not the most exciting, but I guess expected more for the one next week. But there was, however, one announcement to come from this new app in particular, as a day later on Friday, Nintendo announced on the app itself that we have gotten a release date for the upcoming live-action film based on The Legend of Zelda, with a now confirmed release date of March 26, 2027, which will see it go against the next film in the Monsterverse series, the next Godzilla x Kong film, and releasing a week after the fourth film in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, so it'll be a battle for sure. While I'm interested, I do have some questions, which would be, who will they cast in this film? which of the games will be based on in particular, as it's confirmed they are planning for a trilogy of movies filming in New Zealand later this year. And the important question is if Link will be a mute or if he will talk in this film. Now I have a few ideas of casting focus, but I'm sure we'll learn more close to release, or may get some more information next week from Sony's event in CinemaCon, but I guess we can find out soon enough. But what do you think of this direct? Is there any of these tech pieces or games you are most excited about, and are you excited for a film based on Legend of Zelda? And who would you cast as Link, Zelda, Ganon, and any other characters? Let me know your thoughts and choices down below, we can discuss about them there. And then our last story for this week is with a duo of some new announcements and updates for some projects that were initially announced a while ago and have gotten some updates in the future, but we have talked a lot today, so let's delve into this and talk about those announcements and make it quick. So first is just a quick update to a story that I talked about last week that's to do with the ideal drama of the turmoil involved in a new entry based on the Saw franchise. Now last week I mentioned that this film may have been shelved or cancelled due to some turmoil at the studio of Lionsgate, and just at the start of this week we got the confirmation the film has now been removed from its release calendar for September 2025 due to all of this. Now it's not going to be left vacant for another horror title, as it was quickly filled by another sequel that is coming out later this year, which is the second chapter of The Strangers that followed on from the first one last year, which will now take its place. Likely cases, I see the 11th Saw film getting released in due time, and most cases in the following year for the likes of that, but for all appeal, The Strangers will be worth to see going off the appeal and reception of the last one, but I'm sure we'll see in due time from both of these projects in particular. But speaking of some horrors and spooky outcomes, we have an update to a story that I believe I talked about nearly a year ago at this point, where that was the case of a rumored live-action series based on the character of Scooby-Doo. Well, has now been given an update, and the series is now going ahead with an 8-episode series ordered from the streaming giant of Netflix. Not much is known right now, but the simple plot summary they've given is seeing longtime friends of Shaggy and Daphne reunited at a summer camp and team up with a scientific townie of Velma and strange but handsome man named Fred to solve the mystery of a lonely lost Great Dane puppy who may have witnessed a supernatural murder. So the likes of this sounds like it could be an appealing concept, and if there is one hope plea that I can give to the people on Netflix is that to get some good talent that is up and coming, don't cast just like familiar faces, and don't make it cringy and feel outdated very quick, and I beg you, don't make it like the goddamn Velma series, or we may have a problem. Make it like that Supernatural episode they did with the crossover Scooby-Doo. That was a good one. I'll give that regards. Now at the moment we don't see any idea of when we can expect this to release, but once we have inner word of it, I should update in a later episode. But what do you think of these stories and announcements? Will we see the 11th Saw film happen, and are you excited for another film in the Stranger series? And will you watch this new Netflix take on Scooby-Doo, and who would you cast as the main group of Shaggy, Velma, Daphne, Scooby-Doo? Like who? Shaggy, Velma, Fred, and Daphne, and who would you voice as Scooby-Doo? Let me know what you think down below, and with all of that, that's all the news that we have for this week.
Happy Mother's Day.
And with all of that now, that ends episode 97 of We're in My Newsroom, and I hope you enjoyed listening to my ramblings, even through my emotionally messed look of a face like today, but I apologize for that case. But anyways, enough, no need to delve into that. We're going to talk about some updates and some stuff. So we'll start with the reviews. Reviews wise, I haven't delved into it yet, but I'm going to start writing up the Last of Us review probably in the next day, hopefully in that regards. I'm trying to make it at least a case similar to the likes of the Velma or Hasbro Hotel one, where it's a bit of entertainment, get some clips for this one in particular, and gush and maybe emotionally cry over maybe one or two of the episodes. That will probably be around the time of the season 2 premiere in that case, as well as some other reviews will be coming along in that regards. Like another one I can add to the list, Snow White. I have seen the new remake, and controversial opinion, I actually really like it. It's a case instance, the performances are good, I like the story aesthetic, they actually develop it more. People are just misjudging it because it's like cool to hate on it. Like I think it's a bit overblown in that regard, so I think you make your own judgment, make your own opinion on things, stuff like that, to go see it, and I feel some of this drama is a bit overblown. Plus also the case, Rachel Ziegler actually did see my story review for it, so that was a win. I was surprised, but I didn't expect it, but it's a win. Anyway, the case, that review will be coming on some point soon, as well as some other long form shorts and stuff for World Season 1s, like other gameplay stuff, all that stuff. But speaking of gameplays, I have recorded a Cyberpunk 2077 video. It's the first part. It's not that overly entertaining. It's not much happens in the start bit, but yeah. Let's see if in case I can get away with uncensored PP and boobies, but there's a little bit of that, but I might just show a little bit and then censor it. You know, educational purposes. We'll see. Then in case instance, some more Switch and Mario Wonder will be coming out, as well as a case of trying to figure out for the Sony one. So the final vote came in. It looks like the next game is going to be Star Wars Outlaws. if I can get the Ubisoft account to work. There's some issues going on. I have sent a request to try and get it fixed and like link the new PlayStation 1 to my new account, but if it's not, I'll try and get my old account working with my dad's account. And that doesn't work, I'll just go onto the runner-up game, which was Spider-Man, but we'll see in that regards. And other gameplays will be coming along as well. And then long form stuff, we have rewatch-a-thon of the Disney ones. I have another one video ready. I have another watched that one, so I have 2 left to watch on the first part. That'll be coming along soon. Hopefully by April and May for that case. The AI video, that one's coming along as well. I'm gathering some important contents from important people, stuff like that. Just for the case of like the AI stuff and like make sure it's structured right. And in the case of some other long form stuff like Harm Was Born, I think they'll be coming along due time, so look forward to them. Anyways, I feel like rambled on long enough and I'm gonna leave it there for now and just, you know, just let the emotionally draining take from me. So if you enjoy my content and want to see more from me, then simply like and subscribe. I upload new stuff every single week. And I'm hoping to reach maybe by my 2nd anniversary of this YouTube channel of content making for about 500 subs and 1,000 for the end of the year. I know the K-Sins is a bit, like, I'm not pushing it for the K-Sins. If you want to subscribe, you can. If you're people that, like, were around when I started and, like, have left, like, and come back, I welcome them. The door is always open. If you want to leave for a bit, unsubscribe and come back, that's perfectly, honestly fine. I know the most entertaining, but, you know, that case. And if you're new here, welcome as well. I'm harmless. Don't hurt me, please. Anyways, the case instance with that. Let me know your thoughts on everything that was discussed this week as well down below in the comments, about your thoughts on new releases, the trailers, and all that other stuff. So let me know below. Anyways, I feel like I've rambled on long enough. So as always, you all stay being wonderful people. Have a great day. Every day do many great things. And keeping you because no one else do what you do. Now, I've been your host, Sam. And hopefully I'll be a bit more, like, presentable next week. I'm just kind of going for the motions in this case, so just bear with me in that regards. But, as always, you all stay being wonderful people, and I shall see you all in the next video. So take care, I'll see you later.